Good morning, guys. And if you were just listening, or you were just checking things out on Facebook, my plan was to be playing the episode with Dr. Julie Kroll that we did last week and Reverend Jason Barton. We're having some server difficulties, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So we are going to spend our day talking about the experience I've had in the past few weeks, and I think it will be beneficial to all of you. Most of you know that my mother passed away on January 9th, and I want to talk about this because it's a profound subject. I've actually wrote about it on a blog recently, and been talking about it in some people I've been working with. And here's the clear message: is that we don't die, and there's just a lot of that's going to be in details about this subject, but I want to really get deep into it because last week I went and saw Dr. Raymond Moody, and he's agreed to come on the show. I just have to schedule the time with him. And Dr. Raymond Moody is one of the leading experts in near-death experiences in the world. He's been studying it since 1962. It was his PhD dissertation, or his project that he did for his PhD. Been very well recognized in the medical community as well as in the scientific community for the work that he has done. And he talks about many things. He talks about shared death experiences, near-death experiences, and many other things. So what I find very interesting about this gentleman is that he has created a logical sequence on how to actually show life after death. So most of us are very afraid of what's of passing away, or we're afraid of where our loved ones are, and we don't think that we can connect to them. But I know for a fact I've been connecting with my mother, and when my grandmother died in 2002, I was doing the same thing. And so this is really quite profound. I mean, this is the one thing that we're all afraid of. We think we don't have enough time in life, and we think that we're not able to get everything in. So we live through a panic in our life before death actually happens, and then we don't get a chance to live in the moment because we're so busy thinking about this. And it may not be like a conscious thought, but in our mind we're thinking we got to live everything and get it in. And there are certain people that say that they're not afraid of death, and that's good. And then there's certain people I know that say that they just they're so terrified of it. And the reality is you don't have to be afraid of it, because when you go to the other side, it's a very loving space, a very loving place, and you experience complete joy. And my mother had a near-death experience in 2009 when she had a heart attack. And when she went up, she realized that she needed to finish some things with myself and her, or herself and I. And she did this, and it was really didn't hit me until Dr. Moody was talking, and he said some people come back, and they come back for somebody else because they feel that they have some things to resolve. So there's different reasons why people come back. Some people it's a choice. Some people they're told that they need to come back, and some people they just come back for whatever reason and they don't really understand why. And some people don't even remember their near-death experience. They just know that it happened, and they feel the benefits from it, because all of them come back and they know that there's this loving space that they're in, and they can basically say that the afterlife is one of the most loving areas that they could ever have experienced. It's not hateful, it's not angry, it's not upsetting, it's very, very loving. And what he was really expressing is that as soon as you go over, you get what's called the life review. Most of them got what's called a life review, not all of them, but they would go, and basically it would be like a film strip of everything happening that happened in their life, and that all happens simultaneously at the same moment. So they get to experience and see everything they've done. So if they did something bad to somebody, they get to see that right away. And if they did something good to somebody, they get to see that right away. But what he realized is that the good and the bad is based on their judgments, and instead of just seeing his experience. So then he realized that in his studies as well. And in my mother's case, she came back for me, and it brought tears to my eyes because I realized how much love that took to be able to come back from that very loving space to be able to spend the last 2 years with me, helping me get strong inside, helping us resolve some things in our relationships. And in our relationship, we had a really good relationship, but we had a very codependent relationship. And then she resolved a lot of things with almost all of her family. So she passed away this next time with no regrets, at peace. And she knew she was loved, something she didn't always know throughout her life. And so her body and her soul was able to go in peace and go in the way that most people don't get to do and everybody wants to do. They want to be able to die with love. They want to be able to die with no regrets, and they want to die in peace. And she did all those things. And so, and since then, she's been talking to me and many, many other people. She went to my friend Leah Clark's surgery and sang to her. Told Leah that she sings to everybody else. Why can't somebody sing to her? And actually wore a mermaid dress and told Leah, tell Jeremy it's a mermaid dress. And why that was so significant is that the day after her memorial service, she had basically showed me how the universe worked and showed me how fluid it was. And basically, if we just swim through the universe or ride the waves, so to speak, then we don't have to worry about all the tension and pain and strife and stress inside of ourselves. The tension and stress and strife inside of ourselves is based on our resistance to the flow. And she said we're basically self-defeating ourselves because we're still trying to make things happen. And we don't have to make anything happen, is what she was trying to explain and teach me. But she actually didn't show it to me. She gave me the feeling. And so the mermaid dress made sense because a mermaid swims and floats through the universe and floats through the ocean. And they're princesses and queens and kings and princes. And that's exactly what you all are. The only thing that makes you feel like a peasant, like a little popcorn kernel, is your own self-doubt. And what she was trying to teach me is that we have made ourselves so insignificant in the universe. We're as large as the universe, but we've made ourselves a popcorn kernel. And we are so much more. So if you're listening right now, if you're listening to this show and hearing what I'm saying, it's time to step it up. It's time to be that grand being that you actually are. And you don't have to be anything less than what you are in your birthright. And you are a child of God. You are made in God's image. And I know some of you out there are already saying, well, yeah, but we were sinners and all that kind of stuff. Stop. Sin is missing the mark. It's missing the mark of who you are. It's turning your back on where you came from. So turn around and face back where you came from and glorify who you are. It's time for us to stop worrying about dying and being ripped apart about the loss of loved ones. I'm not saying that there's not days that where my human side doesn't get sad. But most days I'm here and I feel her presence. And it's time for us to really wake up to who we are. So I bring this stuff up because now it's really time to think about who we are and where we're going. And that's only to expand out into greatness. So we're going to take a break and listen to some music, and then we will be right back to talk about more on this subject. And we just got a lot to process and enjoy. With Stephen Garrett and his song Rescue Me. I was just sitting here thinking on break about the things that we're talking about in near-death experiences and the profound effect that they have on people when they experience them. And I know a ton of people that have had near-death experiences, and this, outside of what Dr. Moody talked about last week, it it's very apparent that there's more to the life than just this life. Death is just the beginning. And our human mind, or our dragon, our ego, our beast, so to speak, has limited who we are. And because of that human mind, because we look at the world through that human mind, we have limited our perception of the way the cosmos works. And there's just a natural order of things. Cells move and regenerate and come back and go out and go into flow, and they just move around. And so we're busy trying to take and have science prove this, but all you have to do is get really quiet, and you can experience life in the flow and experience life for what it really is, living in spirit. So just get really calm and really still if you're sitting there listening, and I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, not with your mouth, in through your nose, and then out through your nose. And I want you to feel this, because the energy is really strong in 2012. It's because our awareness is being raised. And through conscious awareness, through light, enlightenment, our pain and our struggle and our stress inside and our healing starts to happen. It's our resistance to it that's causing the pain. So let's stop resisting. Let's start really experiencing this. So deep breath in again, and exhale out. And now I want you to go out of the bottom of your feet, have roots go down into the ground and all the way down into the earth. And they just keep on going down, and you're getting rooted like a tree. But it gets down into the core of the earth, and it goes past the core of the earth, because past the core of the earth is nothing. It's space. So I want you to go past that, cross that layer, and you're going down into that core. And your roots go and expand out, and they're no longer rooted and grounded into the earth, they're grounded into the universe. Because you are a universal cosmic mind. And I want you to open up your crown and shoot out the energy and connect yourself to the energy of the cosmos on the other side. And then as that energy starts to open up, I want you to open up through your heart and push out your heart energy. And so what you're now creating is the tree of life, and this bubble of energy that's ever expanding and it's ever growing, and there's no beginning and there's no end. Because the body that you're sitting in really isn't there. What you are is a cosmic soul, a cosmic mind. So let go. Let go of all this. Let go of all thoughts of doubt. Let go of all thoughts of pain. Let go of all thoughts of karma, all thoughts of sin. And feel your divineness. And that's what this is all about. That is who you are. That is your birthright. And feel the flow of the universe flowing through you. Even beyond the universe, feel the flow of consciousness, of thought flowing through you. And so, this is where we want to be, guys. And all these distractions of what we got going on out here, all these distractions of this world, keep us from experiencing this. And you say, but I'm living here. You are an illusion here, but all you have to do is go into the flow and say this: my divine plan is manifesting right now in divine timing and divine order. Make it easy. Put your menu out there. Say, I want this, want this, want this, in divine time. If it's in my divine plan, in divine timing and divine order, make it easy. You don't have to do anything hard. Hard creates stress and strife, heart attacks, cancer, everything else. And this is what my mother has been teaching me since she's passed away. This is what my friend Virginia Drake has taught me. This is what I've taught myself. These are the things that you have to look at. Our struggle, our addiction to have to work hard prevents us from having the happy, joyful life that we all seek. And it's time for us to really look at that, really look intently at that. Because we don't need to do it anymore. We don't need to live the struggle anymore. So that's a simple meditation that I just took you through. And why that's so important is because it's now telling your body that you don't have to live in this pain anymore. But your body is afraid because it's terrified of losing its form. It's terrified that once it's gone, it doesn't have any place to go, that it just goes into the ground. And that's its limited thinking. That's its insignificant thinking. But it's not insignificant. It's vast. And it just has to let go in order to experience the wholeness of what it is. And this is what our human ego is keeping us back from. This feeling of goodness inside of us, of love and compassion and happiness, joy inside of us. Because that's what you're made up of. So as we're out there trying to heal all of our woes of the world, we're still living in this physical world. And this is something that we have to work on every day, of letting go. Letting go and letting the God within you open up and become pure light. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. We just continue doing it and doing it and doing what we think is our mission is, and we keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. And we don't let things phase us. This morning, I expected to have a recording of a show being played, and it didn't happen. So I immediately just popped on my headset and started doing this show. It's all perfect. So we get caught up in what should have happened and not in what's happening right at this moment. In this moment, I'm broadcasting my own show. I had other plans for today. It doesn't matter. Wasn't supposed to do that right now. The divine flow, the divine nature, the natural order of things brought me here on the couch to do this now. Me getting upset about it doesn't do any good. It only holds me back. So these are the things that we really want to think about. If you are an employer and you are a manager and you have employees that show up late and you're getting upset with them, you have to look at yourself. Where have you been late to yourself? What's holding you back? You're the one that's getting angry inside, and they're the ones coming in late. And once you understand yourself, then you can go and talk to that employee. But our need to control them, to get them to do what we need them to do, is an addiction. And the same thing with the employee that's being late. They have to look at themselves. Why is it they're being late to themselves? They're not being late to you. They're being late to themselves. Because if they're consistently doing it, they're missing something very important. Hey, we'll be right back. On a book tour or a speaking tour starting in June. And I'm going to be doing some stuff here in Florida until then. But um, the book is called Peace Be Still, and you can get that at millionhugs.com. It's a little bit about a month behind. It was supposed to release on March 1st. It's releasing on April 1st. Everything is in the editing process and final process right now to be printing. Got a little bit behind, obviously, because my mother was sick and had to take care of her, but that is actually coming out now. So we should be going to Chicago and Boston and Philadelphia and Roanoke, Virginia, and we're going to be speaking there. So I'm going to keep everybody updated. So hopefully you'll be able to come out and meet me, and I'll be able to meet some beautiful souls and make new friends and stuff like that. And some of you I know already know on Facebook, but I'm just looking forward to getting out and being out there. And more to come with that, but it's just pretty exciting time. And this is more about what I wanted to talk to you about because you know in my mind when I first started coming up with this, um, you know, this is a dream of Mom and I's that we were going to travel the country. And as a result of her passing away, she's left me the means financially to be able to do that. And immediately, as soon as I started planning it, my mind went into a guilt. And the human mind does that. It starts to go because it's trying to block itself. It's got fear. It's got everything else. And we don't have to always have the deep answers to know that it's just in fear. And it just went into the idea that, well, this is money, this is, from your mother passing away and all that kind of stuff. And then finally she stepped forward and she says, go, go, live your dream, get out there, fulfill your mission, fulfill the possibilities. And the mission is just living free, free in your heart, and showing everybody that they don't have to live in this world of strife and stress anymore. It's time to let go. And so I went through a turmoil because I had to buy a new car, and because you know the cars were in her name. So then I went through the struggle. Am I going to spend too much? Am I going to spend too little? Am I going to get the right car? And all that kind of stuff. I went into a struggle. The ego was in a panic until finally one day I said, enough is enough. Whatever's divinely supposed to be led to me, make it easy in divine timing and divine order. And it was very interesting because 5 minutes after that I was going out and a 16-year-old kid pulled in front of me and I got into a car accident with my car, and it's been a journey to get that taken care of. But the idea is that even though it's been a journey, I had to stay in balance and stay grounded. And being grounded into the universe is tremendously different than being grounded into the earth. So I had to be grounded in the sense that I had to balance myself in the heart and the yin and yang. I couldn't just be all the way up in the cosmos floating out there. I need to be grounded here in this body because it's the epicenter of everything. And so we're going to take a really quick break and then we will be right back. Just if you're listening, send her healing energy right now. She's going through some things with her family and with a family member that's really, really sick. And so let's send, if you get a second, just take 10 seconds to send some loving energy to help their family through this. So my thoughts go out to them. Um, so, all right, so I was talking about the book tour and the money and stuff like that. And so what happened is that my limited mind started already attaching on to its limitations. And right then, when you go into those limited thoughts, you already start to constrict the possibilities. So, like, why not just let the universe do what it needs to? Let God do what it needs to. Let the God within you flow with the greater God. And well, what happens is we say, I want $1 million. Why not just say, I want to be abundant in all things and have all things taken care of? But then we go, or we say, I want a lover. And then we already start going, but I want him to come through this means, and I don't want it to come through this means, and all that kind of stuff. We already start talking about everything that we don't want. Well, why not say, I would like him or her to have this, 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 and this, if it's in my divine plan. You always want to make sure it's in your divine plan. And the reason being is that you want to let the universe decide, because you want to let the universe decide because it knows what your soul wants. It knows what's going to enrich your soul. And the physical stuff is less important than the soul. And I can feel it out there, but I want to be able to make sure I'm attracted to them. Trust me, when you're in flow with your soul, it's all going to be perfect. Everything. You won't worry about what is right and what is wrong and what is, what you need to have. Things will just come exactly the way they should. And so it's time to really start looking at this in ourselves. It's time to really just let go. Because why people are experiencing such profound effects when they let go is because they don't have to sit here with all the stress going on in their bodies from trying to control it all. And so you guys are so busy trying to control it, including me, that we're missing the opportunity of being in the flow, that divine flow feeling. And so what happened is that the last month and a half is that my mother's memorial service flowed together. It all flowed. We didn't have to do anything really. The chairs came, the PA system came, the people came to honor her. The pictures were there. My family was there. The tons of food was there. Everything. I didn't really do anything. I actually did healing work most of the week and helped people heal. And so then my friend Jennifer Allen came, who I hadn't seen in a while, and she told my friend Virginia Drake about Raymond Moody, and so we went to see Raymond Moody, and Raymond Moody brought tears to my eyes because he helped me heal and because he told me the message I needed to hear, that I already knew, that Mom came back to help us work on some things so that I'd be strong enough to be here by myself and the physical, and then start teaching me in the spiritual realm. She starting to teach me what spirit's about, because I'm so close to her energetically that she's able to get that through to me that maybe other guides or other energies couldn't. And so she stepped out to help me greater on the other side. And how beautiful is that? How loving is that? And how much peace does that bring a person? And that brings a profound effect on all of us. And I want us to really think about that, because we don't have to stress about anything. Nothing. Not even about your bills. Not even if you're having a foreclosure happening in your house. Honestly, there'll be a way. And if you're going to lose that house, you weren't supposed to have it in the first place. And the thing is that everything's going to be perfect. If you were out in the streets, then you were out in the streets. Neil Donald Walsh was out in the streets, living in a tent in a park. And in the end, nothing really, he ended up being a multimillionaire from the book he wrote to help others. He found profound realization of himself from being out in nature and being only in his own thoughts. And so the journey for him was to let go of everything so he could inherit everything. And this is what I want you to really start thinking about. If that's what your divine plan is, then that's exactly what you want to do. I don't care what it is. You want to do it, because that's where you find your true joy. It could be from losing a parent, a child, a lover, a husband, a wife, a spouse, whatever. In those things of us letting go of the pain and becoming peaceful with it, we grow profoundly, because we realize that this life is an illusion that we're experiencing through the soul down here, but we're resistant to what the soul wants to experience. And that is what we all want to start paying attention to. That is the magnificence of who we are. So let go and just let it happen. Let it all happen. It's time. It's time for us all to experience the glory of who we are. And I, for one, am excited. I'm excited about what's going to happen. I'm excited that I'm going to go on tour and meet people that listen to this show and meet good people and meet new friends and be able to broadcast live with them so we can talk about their stories. And I've already talked to Vicky Lynn about doing that and having spaces to where we can actually broadcast this show at different times throughout the day and just experience people in Kansas and Arizona and Texas and wherever we just end up landing and speaking. I'm just overjoyed that I get to experience other souls that I wouldn't necessarily get to meet before. And how cool is that? Because that's bringing all of us together into oneness, and that's what it's all about. We're building a network of consciousness so we can all grow and all experience each other in love. And this is just good stuff. And so all of my times of when I was getting high and doing drugs and drinking and having sex and with everybody on the planet didn't bring me to this feeling of joy that I'm having right in this moment. And it's all because I was so looking on the outside world that I wasn't experiencing the glory of the inside world. And the inside world is what is connected to that fluid universe that's totally in flow. And because I didn't want to experience it, because I wanted to do all those other things, I wasn't able to experience this magnificence that I'm experiencing now and that I want everybody to share with me. This is profound. This is joy. The other stuff is resistant to what you already know. It's really time to start letting go. And people think that letting go is letting go of all of the stuff that they know. All you're letting go of is just letting go and letting the divine nature take what it needs to in divine timing and divine order and give back to you what is divinely yours in divine timing and divine order. That's it. That's all you're doing. You're letting go so that other things can come in and flow back out and flow in and flow back out. And so these are the great, wonderful, beautiful things. And it's time for us just to let go and let things be exactly the way they should be. We'll be right back. Amazing reader and psychic. He's also an energy healer and a choreographer as well. And he's an intuitive certified life coach. You can check him out at evolutionthenextlevel.com. So it's EVOLUTION the next NEXT level LEVEL.com. So you can check him out, and he's got his phone number on here where you can call him as well at 312-307-1929. That's on his website. So check him out. And he's always running specials, and he's got a profound teacher and has a very profound effect. And I'm saying this right at 11:11. Hey, so just wanted to give a shout out to my friend up in Chicago. So anyhow, we're just talking about the flow and how the universe and the cosmos works and near-death experience. And let's just stop calling it near-death experience. So let's call it profound awakening experience. Let's stop calling it death. Let's start calling it transitioning. And let's stop looking at everything in this as negative and look at it as a new beginning. And because one of the things that Raymond Moody talked about is he talked about a shared, and he called it death, but let's call it a shared experience, where his first time when he first started medical school, one of the doctors that was really well respected in the university he was going to ran up to him and she says, Dr. Moody, I would like to be able to talk to you, because he was a PhD just going into medical school. And she says, would you come to my office? Because she had read his work on near-death experiences. And basically what she had went is she was this doctor that didn't believe in anything, didn't even believe in God. She goes, well, my parents didn't teach me against God or religion or spirituality, but they just didn't necessarily teach us anything about it. And so what happened is that she took him to her office and started explaining to him exactly what had happened to her. And it was when her mother had passed away. And so when she was trying to resuscitate her mother, and she said, it's a weird feeling to give your mother mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. It's weird enough to do it to other people, but to your own mother, it's definitely a weird feeling. Well, anyways, her mother had passed away, and she had, freed herself from this body in transition. And what happened is that the spirit of her mother's body came into her. She felt her pass through her body and felt all that tremendous spirit of love, and it threw her. And then she actually at one point was hovering over her own mother's body. So she was actually experiencing what her mother was experiencing. And so he calls this a shared death experience. And so what it took him on a journey of is discovering more than one person that had experienced this. And one of the funniest things is that he's spoken to thousands of people that have had these experiences either individually or shared. And he said there's just so much evidence of people that are experiencing this, to where modern day science wants to say that people that are having near-death experiences, that they are have a lack of oxygen, so they're hallucinating. And he said now we've got these shared death experiences, and he goes, it's time for modern day science to come up with a new excuse. He goes, because the oxygen depletion or the lack of oxygen isn't good enough anymore. There's people having a shared experience, and it's time for us to wake up. So what he was trying to tell us is that there is more than just this body. Yes, there is psychic ability, there is intuitive ability, there is the power to create the world around you. Yes, you do not die. You do go on. And so what he was doing for me is he was confirming what I already knew and standing up. And then my mother actually stepped into my body for the fourth time during this lecture. And she started saying, yes, yes, yes. And it was funny because before she passed away, it's funny that David's listening. As I said to her, I said, Mom, David, my friend Daved Beck, his mom jumps into the back seat of the car. Um, try not to do that. You know, at least warn me before you do it. Because I could just picture him driving down the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago, and she pops into the back seat and freaks him out while he's trying to drive, and she laughed, of course. But what she's been doing is actually stepping into my body, and it's been different, and it's been a good feeling. But she's been doing it at times when I needed her, and so I just want you all to know, if you're out there and you haven't experienced the things that I've experienced, other people have experienced, it's there. You just have to open up your heart to experience it. Your family members aren't gone. They're there. Your loved ones are there. They're not trapped. They're not in a bad place. He said actually one of the things he found is there was very few people that had a negative place or a hellish place in their near-death experience. He says it's very minimal. And he goes, when they came back, these are the people who were so terrified of hell that they experienced hell when they got there. And when they came back, then there was something that they could work with and figure out why they wanted to experience hell in life. And it's because they were so terrified of it here, and they were experiencing hell here. So what they were taking in here now is what they were taking over there. So they were blocking themselves from seeing their own love that they knew was there. They didn't want to experience because they couldn't experience love here inside of themselves. And so what happens is that it's that life review. So you get there and you get the life review, and all they feel is that anger and that strife. So these are things that you really just want to look at. And let's start looking and getting deep in ourselves and allowing spirit and the universe to flow you through. It's like a dance with God. And so this dance with God is so profound that this is how you do it. You dance and you go on this path and you go on this path, and feel this just for a second. It's like you're dancing and God is just sweeping you up and moving you this. All of us want to be swept off our feet. I don't care if you're male or female, we want to be swept off our feet. So God's sweeping you off your feet and taking you this way, and you're getting this experience and you're getting this experience, and you're all very happy, and you're at a grand ball with royalty all around you because you are royal. And that's what this is all about, and this is what you want to feel like inside, because this feeling is what brings everything that's joyful out there to you. experiences of spirits, experiences of cosmos, universal experiences, experiences of joy, of meeting new people and cool people. And this is what it's all about, experiencing more love. But if you're worried about all the little details, you're getting hung up in the details. And so then you're experiencing hell and you're not experiencing life. And this is what we want to start looking at. This is where we want to find that deep love within inside of ourselves. So it's time. It's time to start experiencing who you are. And take a leap of faith. You're beautiful children of God, Goddess, universe, cosmos, whatever you want to call it. Don't get hung up on the words. They're just words. This is a feeling. This is a feeling. So, with that being said, I can talk about a lot of the signs that have happened over the last month and a half. Down to the MetLife blimp flying over and hovering over the top of my mother's memorial. And that might seem insignificant to you, but it hovered for quite a while, like 10, 15 minutes, and I work for MetLife. So everybody was like, well, did Jeremy order this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But what's really even more cool about it is that my friend Jennifer Allen, who just happened to come, and I hadn't seen her in a while, and I didn't expect her to come, came because in the blimp, she was coming from her daughter having a baby that morning, and the blimp actually followed her down Interstate 4 from Orlando to Tampa. And she's thinking, well, why is the blimp flying? There's not even a game today. I don't understand. There was nothing going on. There was an RV show, so it was probably there for the RV show, but it hovered over her memorial. And then come to find out that Jennifer had actually worked with my mom in the last 3 months because she had started working for hospice. And she just happened to come because she wanted to pay her respects. And I always wanted her to meet my mother, but it never happened. Well, they met because of being professionals and at hospital. I asked David to come on the line because him and I have some synchronicity that happens between us, and he was a guest on the show back in December, David?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, it was
all time, just I don't know.
You can actually go on my YouTube channel and you can just search for Lamplight Group, and there's the show with him back in December. But anyways, I had sent out a prayer and healing request back when Mom was sick and in the hospital, and the synchronicity of it. Well, I'm gonna have David tell the story because he tells it so much better than I do.
You sent out the email, and I read it, and with what I'm writing about, and just how life, there is no such thing as death. Everything is life, and the power of one and showing up first. So you sent out this email, and it just so happens that I was doing a radio show that evening, and I was inspired by listening to my whisper within, and excuse me, I emailed the host, and immediately I'm like, okay, can we extend the show? Because originally this host gave me the option, do you want a 1 hour show or a 2 hour show? And I'm like, 1 hour is fine. Well, when this came, I'm like, okay, maybe he'll extend the show, and I can do a meditation for whoever's listening, and we can tune in and send healing and light and just be there in this process for both Jeremy and his mom. And I had never met your mom. You and I have never met face to face. We had our one, and there's this connection. And the radio, it was amazing. And then after that, for myself, it just opened up so much. It was such a clear channel. It was awesome. So Jeremy, go.
Oh, it's incredible and I wanted him to explain that because I'd actually forgotten about it. What was cool about that is I'd sent that out, and everybody I knew, like everybody that's been on my show, everybody I just knew, I just sent it out, all my students and everybody, and I got responses back. It was unbelievable. I mean, I could without a doubt go in and tell my mother that at least 1,000 people were sending her energy and praying for her, and it brought tears to her eyes. And what she said is that what happened is that she had had shingles on top of her cancer, and the shingles were like, she called them a ring of fire around her face. And what happened is, as a result of that, that energy, and she actually took all that in, the shingles pain went away, and she was able to, experience being with her family and loved ones, and just experience that in the last days of her life. And what she was doing is teaching in the last days of her life, and just really experiencing. And I remember that the Friday before she passed away, someone told me just to stay there at the hospital, and I stayed there at the hospital, and I pushed them because she had spent 2 weeks in this hospital, which was kind of like a Hilton. It was that nice. And I laughed because we couldn't get her in to see an oncologist, and because that hospital didn't have one. And so then she went that Saturday to, we got her moved to another hospital to see an oncologist. They were trying to get her into the specialty cancer hospital, and she heard what the oncologist said, and in 36 hours she was gone. And what was really profound about it is that she said, "I want to go on hospice, Jer." And I said, "Okay." And they said they couldn't get her in until Monday, which was the day that she passed away. And I went into her office and I said, "Girls, Mom needs to be on hospice, and they're saying they can't get her in until Monday." They had her in 3 hours, and they had probably 14 dozen flowers and roses all over her room, all decorated. And what ended up happening, there was probably 100 people that walked in and out, her Reiki students, her families that she had helped, nurses, because she was a hospice nurse. And all these people came to express how much they loved her. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show. She told me, she goes, "Jer, I'm going with no regrets. I'm at peace with this, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm loved." And I was like, "Oh, Mom, there's no other way to do it." You're going out like a rock star. And
yeah, it says so much. I mean, just the connection that how blessed to have that connection with your mom, that your relationship was so strong in love. Because for so many, in human form, me being one of them, we could not have that loving, united relationship.
Right.
And yet here everything is at peace, because that's how my mom is now. In human form it was like, yeah, sorry, but the reasons why it happened. So it's like, okay, thanks, Mom. Here's my new soul.
Yeah.
I as well got a new car. But I gotta say, Jeremy, and it's fascinating because you said your mom, teach, and she's teaching right now. There's so many, and I'm it's so funny because here you are, you have your show today. You didn't know you were going to have a show. I didn't know I was going to come on and listen to the whisper. And the radio show that I did the meditation on that evening, I'm on that show this evening.
Oh, wow. So you definitely have to talk about that. How cool is that? And what a lesson in life and spirit.
Yes.
That it's synchronicity, and if we just let go, it's all going to work.
If we just let go, and so too, we must listen and embrace the whisper and act upon it.
Yes.
It all begins with one, and if we're not willing to ask, both earth angels as well as human angels cannot intervene. There's that law of free will and choice.
Yes.
We've got to be willing to speak up, and if you weren't willing to that email that you did, you did, and so all that love came forth. It's just amazing. It's brilliantly designed.
I think it's the coolest thing in the world, and I get overexcited, and the energy between us right now is just incredible. Well, it was like that when you were on the show back in December. The energy is just flowing, and I know people can feel this, and it's like, and it's time for us all to step up and just live life. Well, I've been living life as a happy life for a while now, but it's time for everybody else to just stand up and just feel this flow of energy and act on it.
Because it is time. It's happening with or without us, and we can be with it. We can be against it, and it's the flow of being with it. Utilizing the energies of the universe and the planets, and utilizing our gifts. If we recognize each other as a gift that in which we are all mirrors to each other. I mean, think about it. If we recognize that we're a gift ourselves, and we own the fact that we are all mirrors for each other, what's that saying right there? acknowledge that you're a gift and show up in the gift that you are, and everyone's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we must, it's fascinating too because look at the synchronistic sign in the background here because didn't expect to be on, but they're showing Whitney Houston.
Oh, it's really?
Her funeral and so give a shout out to her and love too.
Yeah, and then in love to her family and all the people that loved her and all of her fans, and just know that her spirit lives on, and she's singing to us in the cosmos.
Yes, the greatest love of all. Isn't that what we're talking about?
She's singing I Want to Dance with Somebody, and she's dancing through the cosmos. I didn't even know because I was at that lecture last week, and I didn't even know she had gone because I don't watch TV much, and I was staying at this La Quinta Inn over in St. Petersburg, and I walked in, the continental breakfast you get, and I walked in to get a bagel and coffee and stuff, and up on the screen is Whitney Houston says she deceased. I was like, what? And me being a gay man, that's like one of my divas, and so I'm like, and so, but what's really more cool about it is that when I was 18, I was part of a group called the Suncoast Sound. I used to march in drum corps, and one of the songs we played that we were famous for was "The Greatest Love of All." And so that song has a really deep meaning for me because it brings me back to a time when I was.
Hey. My baby wanted to say hello.
Well, he just wants to be part of the song too.
Oh, Jeremy, I think it's time for me to go.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, have a good show.
All right, bye. I think that his babies were saying, Daddy, it's time for you to pay attention to us and not the show. So, anyways, it ended up being perfect because we are coming up to the end of this segment, and we're going to play Leah Clark, I Am. So, David, if you're still listening, you're going to love this song because it goes right along with what we're talking about. Obviously, there's a system problem or something because I've tried to play the Leah Clark I Am song twice this show, and it hasn't gone through, so either it doesn't want to be played or there's something wrong and I gotta go fix it. So, anyhow, what a day. Everything has just flowed together perfectly, and we're in the divine flow, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. David just happened to be listening to his inner voice or his whisper, that and he heard the show, and it happened to be in synchronicity with other things that were going on, and he's absolutely correct. We met as a result of a woman named Phyllis that lives in the Philadelphia area, and David met her because he was traveling out to the Philadelphia area to teach, and she ended up asking for him to be booked on my show, him and a couple other people, and we all connected. And it's because we're connecting because it's time for us to start getting out there and teaching and helping each other and becoming a community, and it's something I've been asking for a long time. I've built a solid community here in Tampa, but now it's time for us to get out there and build a solid community in the world and in the cosmos, because the community started within us first, and the people I'm meeting, they're doing their work and they're building that strong foundation within themselves. And so the purpose of the show is just to stop worrying about all the things that are going on in your life and just let go, and as David said, act on the opportunities. And as they come up, he acted on an opportunity, and he just happened to relate back to when I asked for healing energy and prayer for my mother and for myself, because at the time I was going through some emotional stuff as well. I mean, I was pretty upset, and I had to regroup. And within a matter of 30 minutes, I remember I came in and I was crying and I was upset, and then I had Mom had said, Jerry, I need to kick you out of the room for a second because I need to go to the bathroom. And so I went and sat in the waiting room, and in that time I remember my inner voice said, you're being a victim, it's time to regroup and get back in balance. And so I did, and I walked in and I said, Mom, I'm being a victim here. And I said, this is not where I want to go with this. And I said, we're gonna take it one day at a time, and what we need. She goes, I'm not being a victim, Chair. She goes, whatever happens, happens. I love you, and if I have to go, it's time for me to go, and I know where I'm going. and but I regrouped and I got back into balance. And that night I actually did a radio show too, David. Just so you know, I actually did a show that night as well on Blog Talk Radio, and it ended up being that I was so energetically charged that I was able to send that energy out and heal other people as a result of that connection, this flow, because all we're doing is acting on the opportunities and letting the energy go where it needs to be. And that's it. That's it. When we let God channel through us, then we experience joy. And so this morning I ended up doing a show because I wanted, the recording didn't happen, and we flowed this way. I even posted on Facebook, we're going to have Dr. Julie Kroll on the show from last week again. And I went back and I deleted it. I said, well, I guess I'm doing a show this morning. And it's been perfect because I got to reconnect with David, and I got to share with you guys the story about Raymond Moody and all the things that's happening with Mom and about being in the flow. And I'm just telling you what, all you have to do is let go, and life happens. And everybody's looking for a process of how this happens, and all you have to do is listen to that whisper. Listen to that whisper going on inside of you, and you find what you're looking for. And so, last minute announcements at the here, because we're coming up to the end of the show. Again, if you would like to reserve a copy of my book, it's at millionhugs.com, and you look for the book Peace Be Still. Whoever reserves a copy gets an autographed copy from me, and they get their name on the publisher's website for up to 10 years as a supporter of this project. I would be most eternally grateful. And I'm reading right now, the edit's coming back, and this book channeled. It's about my experience, but it's channeled because I did it sitting in my office, and all 42,000 words, as David and I talked about in December. I never thought for a million years that I would write a book. I had wrote 2 before this, and I never even had them published because I had a fear, because I thought my grammar was poor and nobody was going to listen or hear what I had to say. Well, what ended up happening is that this book flowed out of me, and now I'm getting the things back from the editor. I'm like, wow, I really wrote that. And it's because I had to let go and just let it flow and make it easy, not a chore, make it easy. I was going back to my old experience. I was living in the past of being in high school or grammar school and thinking that I was listening to what those grades were, that the F and D's of grammar. And I was listening to that. I wasn't listening to what my voice was saying. Do this because you got a message to give. And I know David's in the middle of writing a book, and he's a part of another book, and believe you can get that at his website, evolutionthenextlevel.com. And you can find him on Facebook. It's David, Daved Beck, Beck. And then you can be able to connect with him. He's a really good guy, and doing some really good work up in Chicago, in the Chicago area. And he travels as well. So, anyways, you can check that out. And then I'm going to be doing my friend Julie Rust, and you can find her at julierust.net. We'll be doing a live show with her at Sacred Grounds here in Tampa, and you can check them at sacredgroundstampa.com. And her music is amazing. I play it on the show all the time. As a matter of fact, the next song I'm playing is her song Trust. It's going to be ending the show. So if you would like to go and check her out and listen to that live show, I believe that's on the 20th of April. I have to go back and check my dates, but just be on the lookout for it at sacredgroundstampa.com or julierust.net, and that'll be there. And there's just a lot of cool things happening, guys. Raymond Moody's been coming on the show. My publicist, I've spoken to her, and she gave me a contact for getting Neil Donald Walsh on the show. And there's just a lot of exciting things that are going to happen. And it's all because we have to live in the flow and be in the moment and in the now and act on those opportunities. So I just want to leave that it's a consistent message I give, but it's the truth. If we don't act on our opportunities, then nothing will happen for us. Then we're just living in a dream. And the difference between the dream and the actual flow and things happening is the action that you take. And so, I know somebody that sits on the side of their couch and she raises her hands up and she says, "Bring me the willing." and she gets the willing, but she acts on the opportunities that come, the people that need her help. She acts on it. She actually works with them. She doesn't say I can't see you now and blocks them and keeps them, makes it a week out before she can see them. She says, come on over. And so she does her healing work like that. And so she says, I get more work done on the side of my couch than I do anything. And the truth is that she does. That's the life that she wants. And she wants the life of relaxing. She's worked all of her life, and she's tired of working hard, so she's chose not to work hard anymore. And that these are people that are living this life with me. And this is the thing that you want to take a look at. These are the things. If you are living a life of strife and struggle, stop. So, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you for listening, guys, this morning. I've really enjoyed myself. Um, and what an easier way to do a radio show. I'm sitting here on my couch, and my dog's sitting around me, and they're waiting to go outside, so I'm going to wrap up the show so they can. And I love you guys. Namaste.